Perhaps you've spent the last 40 days reflecting on your own soul, how you need to grow and develop in the coming year, reaching out to the people in your life and making amends on all of the places you've misstepped. Perhaps these questions are entirely unimportant and uninteresting to you, and you're here now because you like the melodies. At a certain level, it doesn't really matter. If you have been a good and thoughtful person trying to grow your own soul, donating and volunteering for causes that matter to you, repairing your relationships, doing everything right, you will one day pass from this earth. And if you have been an entirely wicked person, causing pain and misery and hardship to all of the people you encounter, you will one day pass from this earth. And if you're just sort of a neutral schlepper going through the world, not too bad, not too good, you too will one day pass from this earth. This is the reality which Rabbi Alan Lew of blessed memory wrote about when he said, "Heartbreak is precisely the feeling that we have done our best, we have given it our all, but it hasn't been enough, not nearly enough. And this is what we mean when we say God is close to the brokenhearted. And this is what we mean when we say, Ein banu ma'asim, we have no good deeds. This is what it says in Avinu Malkenu, that lovely song with the haunting, heartbreaking melody we all love to sing on Rosh Hashanah. Avinu Malkenu, Chanenu Vanenu. Our Father, our King, be gracious to us, be gratuitously loving, and answer us, even though we don't deserve it. Ki ein banu ma'asim, because we have no good deeds to invoke in our own defense. In other words, once we absorb the absurdity of birth and the inevitability of death, we realize there is really nothing we can do about it. All of our deeds are limited. We realize that we have greatly overestimated our own power and creativity, our own potency and ability to shape things, and we have deeply underestimated the havoc we wreak in the world through our own unconscious processes. This is not to say we shouldn't do things in the world. We can and should make wise and discerning use of science and medicine and technology in order to make the world better while we live in it. And we have to hold those hopes, those ambitions for change loosely, the way we hold a Kiddush cup balanced in our hand, because ultimately, ein banu ma'asim, our actions, our efforts cannot get us everything we want. We cannot make our children turn out the way we want them to. We cannot make our parents turn out the way we want them to. We cannot make our friends turn out the way we want them to. And we really, really can barely, maybe, if we're lucky and very hard, have any effect on making us into the people we want to be. So here is my invitation to you. As Ellen begins to chant, as Ellen begins to lead us in Avinu Malkenu, I invite you to think about a cherished ambition, something you hope, something you want, something you desire deeply, and simply sit for a few moments with the painful reality that it might not work out that way. I don't offer this as an invitation to be nihilistic or to give up hope, but to simply recognize that there are limits to what we can do and make our peace with what it is to be human and not divine. After Ellen is done leading us in this chant, we'll hear from Stephen Clair on the power and limits of human effort. Stephen lives here in Beacon with his wife Jennifer and their children Esther and Henry.
Avinu Malkenu, חטאנו לפניך, בוראנו מברכנו, אין לנו מלך אלא אתה. גואלנו משמרנו, עשה עמנו למען שמך, דורשנו מפרס נשאנו, חדש עלינו שנה טובה. הודינו מושיענו, בטל מעלינו כל גזרות קשות, ותיקנו מפלטנו, בטל מחשבות שונאנו. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר חיים טובים. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר זכויות. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה. אבינו מלכנו, חננו ועננו. אבינו מלכנו, חננו ועננו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, והושיענו. אבינו מלכנו, חננו ועננו. אבינו מלכנו, חננו ועננו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, והושיענו.
This teaching resonates with me a whole lot. When I was in college, I remember carrying around a pocket-size collection, mini collection of the poems of the Chinese poet Han Shan. And these quippy little ancient poems of his, this hermit on a mountaintop in China, basically expressing in myriad, countless ways the futility of life, but with this sort of like his tongue in his cheek. And that's kind of always been the way I've approached life and living. Like the futility for me is not in any way negative. On my Facebook, my personal page on Facebook, how you can have a quote, at the top. The quote at the top of my page is a Samuel Beckett quote that reads, "You're on earth, there's no cure for that." Certainly when I was younger, as a musician and a songwriter, in my creative pursuits, I certainly looked forward to the rewards in the form of accolades or whatever success. But as I've gotten older, I've come around to kind of like embodying those quotations that I talked about earlier, that I carried around in my back pocket. And that is that, you can only hope to, well, aside from hoping to do your best, if you're driven to do something, it's really about the doing of something. And that, at this point in my life and going forward, a couple of years ago, I kind of validated or told myself that, like, heck yes, I was going to continue to write and perform and record songs because I love to do it and I live to do it, and that's enough, and that's what drives me. That's my personal example, but I would say that it goes for everything. It's just, there's so much to love in the world, despite the fact that we can't control much of anything. And that's the beauty of it, right?